We know that there's only one Shabbat of the year that the Kabbalists say every single person, every single even child needs to make a connection on this Shabbat. There are other important Shabbatot, there are other important days, but there's only one that the Kabbalists say that in order for a person to be connected to the light of the Creator in his strongest way, he or she, must make sure that they make a connection on this Shabbat. And of course, we know it's not simply about coming and making and hearing the reading and making the connection, but there must be a unique consciousness, unique gift, a unique secret that is available for us on this Shabbat. And that's, B'ezrat Hashem, what we want to share today, what we want to awaken is what is the gift of this Shabbat, what is unique about the Shabbat, what is so important about this Shabbat, that of all the weeks of the year, this is the one that absolutely everybody must connect to. Most of us know that in the literal sense, this Shabbat is called Zachor, which literally translated means it's the Shabbat to awaken a memory, a remembrance, a memory. We also know that in the literal sense, there's a discussion about the battle with Amalek. The battle with Amalek. Again, of course, historically, thousands of years ago, the Israelites battled this tribe called Amalek, but of course, we're not talking about history. As the Rav would always remind us, we're talking about you and I here today. So what is the secret of Amalek? What is the secret of remembering? What are we desiring and awakening a remembrance of and for? So to understand the Shabbat, as we shared last night, you have to understand the totality really of the next 48 hours. Beginning from the Shabbat, which is called Shabbat Zachor, which is the preparatory Shabbat, that only if one makes the proper connection and consciousness, awakens the proper consciousness on this Shabbat, can we then connect to what's called the light of Purim, tonight and tomorrow. So I was reading from one of the Kabbalists, and I'd like to share with you a few sentences that hopefully begin to awaken both excitement, understanding, and consciousness about what is being opened up to us, beginning on this Shabbat into tonight and into tomorrow. So the great Kabbalist says, the Kabbalah Yashar says the following: Yesh olam chadash lemala. There is, we know in the supernal worlds, we call them worlds, what they are sources of light, of energy, that manifest in this world. And he says there is one world, shu kadosh v'nora me'od, that it is the most elevated, the most light-filled, the most filled with blessings than any of the other worlds, meaning from any of the other places from which we draw blessings and strength. Ve'ein oto ha'olam mitgale lachutz, and the light and then the blessings of this unique world is never revealed throughout the year. Merov kedushato, because the light is so powerful, so strong, that it would overwhelm both the individual and the world, and therefore this world is concealed throughout the whole year. Kimpam achat bashana, but once a year, on Purim, this world opens up for us. This world that has the greatest light, that has the greatest blessings, is opened up to us. And our work, beginning on this Shabbat into Purim, is to do everything we can that supernal world, as it's referred to, or that source of light and blessing that is not available because it is so powerful and so strong, not available any other day of the year, that we do everything that we can so that the light of that world, which is revealed, awakened, available only on Purim, opens up not only to us, but to our world. What do we need to do to connect? And again, as we have to understand, any blessing that is blocked from us, any elevation, any consciousness, any joy, any blessing that we cannot connect to throughout the rest of the year, on Purim it becomes available. But what do you need to do? In what state of consciousness do you have to be in order to allow that world, that overwhelming, powerful flow of light to be revealed to you? And that brings us again to this Shabbat. What is Amalek? What is Amalek? Amalek, we know, literally translated, as we said, is a historical, but for us, that's not what matters. They represent, that word, Amalek, represents one force in this world. We know the foundations of Kabbalah is the following. The light of the Creator that resides inside every single one of us and that envelops this entire world is there. Light never disappears. Regardless of human activity, that light continues to shine. And even within you and I, within every single one of us, we are flowing, we are filled with light all the time. And the obvious question, of course, is, well, that's not the world that we see. That's not even the me that we experience. Can any one of us actually say honestly that every day we feel that overflow of light that is simply completely filling us and flowing out of us? Can we honestly say that we look at the world and all we see is light? Of course not. The opposite is probably true. That while we might have studied and know that there is a spiritual truth, which is that the light of the Creator, Memale, fills everything and fills me and you, why is that not our experience? So it's good to hear in Kabbalah 1 that this is all an illusion, but how do we permeate that illusion? How do we make what is true our lived reality, our lived experience? This paradox between what we know to be the truth, which is, again, at least we studied it, that all that there is the light of the Creator. So that when we look out into the world, all we should see is the light of the Creator, which means goodness and light and blessings and life. We don't see that. When we look into the world, we see death and destruction and disease and pain and darkness. We also know, as we said, that the truth about me and you, about every single one of us, that the light of the Creator is flowing within us all the time. And therefore, what should that lived experience be? It should be of joy and happiness and no doubt and no fear all the time. But that's not the experience that we have. And that's not the reality that we see in our world. Why is it that on the one hand, we know the truth that the light is flowing everywhere all the time, in the world and within every single one of us, but our experience is almost the exact opposite of that, which is that we see, when we look around the world, when we look outside, we see death and destruction and disease and darkness. And even when we looked inside, those of us who are spiritual, so we see what? 50% of the time, say whatever that percent is for every single individual, where we feel light, where we feel connection, where we feel inspiration. But so much of the time we feel lack, and we feel doubt, and we feel fear. Why is that? The disconnect between reality and our experience of reality. And the answer is Amalek. What is Amalek? We know that in order to allow for human development, and we know an earning of the light, there had to be created an illusion. But what's the illusion? The illusion is, in the words of one of the Kabbalists, it's a static. It's a force that blinds us to the experience of reality. It simply lowers our connection to the true vibration of what is happening both outside and what exists inside of each one of us. So if we want to know what is the core power, force of Amalek, of which we are coming on this Shabbat to rid ourselves of, is that static force, that force that makes it so that when I think about myself, more importantly, when I experience my life, even though it's true that all I am is completely filled with the light of the Creator, but I feel lack and doubt and fear because The power of Amalek. Amalek does not have the power to remove the light from me, but it has the power to make me not know what's inside of me. It makes me not able to see, when I look outside, the true reality of the light permeating everything, but rather seeing what we see, which is, as we said, darkness and lack and pain and disease and death. But that is not the reality, but what forces us, what enables us to not experience true reality, that's the force of Amalek. That, as we know, sometimes you try and, and maybe today not so much, but in the olden times when you had antennas for TVs and radios, right? You're trying to get on a channel and there's all that static. You can't hear a word that's being said. Of course, we know that the words were being said very clearly from the studio from which they were being broadcast. But because there was so much static, you heard sometimes nothing and sometimes garbled words, certainly not the reality of what was being broadcast. That's our reality today. Illusionary reality, be it as it may, but that's the reality that we experience. But what's important to understand on this Shabbat is that, and that's why we begin to understand why this is the most important Shabbat of the year. Because you can be a spiritual person. You can work on yourself and develop and grow and do good things and so on and so forth. But if you don't find a way to attack Amalek, which is again that force that lowers the vibration that you experience of the true light that is flowing everywhere and within you, if you're not able to remove that, then the individual will always remain in a state of what we call positive and negative, good and bad. So what is Amalek? And this has to be clear to us. And what are we here to rid ourselves of this Shabbat? Is that force that does not allow us to connect to reality, neither the reality of ourselves, of who we are, and the power and light that exists within us, nor the reality of the world that we experience. So and we will hopefully understand a little bit more of the tools, but what this Shabbat is about, again, if you can remove all that static, you don't have to do anything more. You don't have to reveal light. As we know, the light exists already. All we need to do is to remove the static, to remove that force that is not allowing us to experience that which is our reality. Which brings us to understand more deeply the concept, as we said on Purim. Most of us know that the Kabbalists speak about the power of what's called yain. Yain is literally translated as wine. But what is the purpose, what is the spiritual significance of wine in this world? It says, Nichnas yain yatsa sod, which literally means the numerical value of the word wine is the same numerical value as secret. And when one, it says, takes in wine, the secret comes out. What does that mean? It means that the truth, unfortunately, what is a secret? A secret is something that is true, but that is concealed, that is hidden, that most people don't know yet. What is the biggest secret about humanity? What is the biggest secret about our world? The biggest secret is that the light of the Creator permeates everything all the time. The greatest secret is that the light of the Creator fills me so much that it overflows out of me. The purpose, and this is, we're beginning this process on this Shabbat, to the degree that we can remove the static of Amalek, that static of the illusion that we experience about ourselves and the world, and then we take in the light of Purim, which is the light of Nichnas Yain Yatsa Sod, the secret of who I am, the secret of who you are will be revealed to you. Most of us might know that for every month of the year, there's a tetragrammaton combination, a four-letter combination that is the channel for the light of that month. And it always is sourced by the Kabbalists from a verse in the Torah. For the month of Adar, for the month of Pisces, for the month of Purim, it comes from a verse where Jacob is blessing his children. And it begins with the tetragrammaton combination, and then it continues and says, Kibes bayayin levusho, which literally means that we clean our garments with wine. That's the literal translation. Kibes bayayin levusho. What does that mean? It means that the power of Purim, and therefore, it's, of course, B'ezrat Hashem, we will drink on Purim, but it's not. That is not the reason, right? That is not the source. The source is that the light that is available, hopefully, as we start to begin removing the static of Amalek, that illusionary force that keeps us hidden, we know that levushim, or clothing, are all the things that block the internal from being revealed. That's what Purim is about. Purim is about allowing me to experience me, you to experience you. Can you imagine, and this we have to accept this, hopefully, or know this, you have never experienced, maybe you've had glimpses of it. You've never experienced yourself completely. We certainly don't experience the true reality of this world ever. This is the work, again, beginning on this Shabbat. We must know that the true reality of the world, and certainly the true reality of each one of us, the truth is that the light is only light, and I am overflowing with light, and therefore there's no possibility of doubt or fear or lack. But you have to reveal that secret about yourself. And that's what the Shabbat is about. To begin the process of removing the static of Amalek, removing that static of the illusion that keeps us not seeing reality outside, and more importantly, not seeing the reality that exists within every single one of us. In the Torah, there's one phrase that the Zohar and the Kabbalists make it clear. If you want to know what Amalek does to you, to every single one of us, there's a verse in the Torah, a phrase that hopefully will be completely upended by all of us on this Shabbat. But it says before Amalek is revealed, it says that the Israelites were filled with doubts and questions. And one question: Hayesh Hashem bekirbeinu im ayin? Does the light of the Creator permeate and completely flow within me, so that there is nothing else? There's no lack, there's no darkness, there's no fear, there's no doubt? Or not? Hayesh Hashem bekirbeinu im ayin. Do I know that the light of the Creator fills me completely all the time, or not? When there's that doubt, you can be a spiritual person, you can want to believe, you can want to connect. But if you doubt, Hayesh Hashem bekirbeinu im ayin, am I completely filled with the light of the Creator? A doubt, even 1% doubt of that, Vayavo Amalek. Amalek comes, and that veil that remains upon our world that we experience, and that veil that remains upon me and you and every single one of us, continues to exist and maybe gets stronger. If there's one thing, and this is really the work of this Shabbat, you want to tell yourself, repeat to yourself 100 times today, I have no doubt, at least for the next, 48 hours, at least for the next 24 hours, no doubt that I am completely filled with the light of the Creator. There is no room for the static, for the veil of what's called Amalek, that keeps me hidden, my secret of me hidden from myself and from the world. I have no doubt that I am completely filled with the light of the Creator. And I promise you, and this is both from practice, but I promise you, if you remind you, at least for the next 48 hours, if you remind yourself 100 times today, you will begin to experience what it means to live and experience the true you. And the world, and the true world. Hayesh Hashem bekirbeinu im ayin. That question that we walk around with, whether consciously or subconsciously, all the time. Why do you doubt? Why do you fear? Why do you feel lack? Only for one reason. because you have 1% doubt, 10% doubt, 30%, whatever that number is for every single person. You doubt that you are completely filled with the light of the Creator, and therefore the static, the veil of Amalek keeps it hidden from you. The purpose of this Shabbat, clearly now, is to begin removing that veil, completely removing that veil so that we can truly get to know the secret of me. And Purim is that's the only purpose of Purim. Nichnas yain yatsa sod. The light of Purim comes into me and to you and to every single one of us, and the secret of who we are, which is hidden from every single one of us, becomes revealed to us. Becomes revealed to us. We know that this revelation, this work, is very difficult. I think every single one of us, whether you've been studying for one day or for 40 years, can testify that you've been making a connection on this Shabbat for years. You haven't yet completely revealed yourself to yourself, right? And what does that mean? What does that experience? It's very simple. You walk around all the time completely filled with the light of the Creator, which means never feeling a sense of lack or doubt or fear ever. I don't want to ask for a raise of hands, but I'm sure that we have not yet, most of us, we'll say most of us, have not yet achieved the revelation of that secret. But that's the purpose of the Shabbat. The Midrash tells us the following, that the Israelites turn to the Creator and they say to the Creator, we know the work of Zachor, we know the work of removing the veil from ourselves and the static that we see all around us that forces us to see the illusion of a world filled with darkness. And we know that on this Shabbat we're meant to remove it, but it's too difficult. We've been doing this for years, we've been trying, but it's still too difficult. The Creator tells us, and we have to understand that we have a partner with the light of the Creator on the Shabbat. The Creator tells us, you mention that name below, meaning you truly awaken a desire, and this is what we have to, this is the vessel, a desire. And again, the Creator says, awaken that desire below and I will finish it above. I will complete the work for you. How much pain are we in? How much do we feel that I don't want to live one more day with me being secret from myself, from me not knowing, not experiencing the totality of the power that truly, the light that resides within me. Only to the degree of that desire will this Shabbat, will the light of the Shabbat and the light of this reading remove the veils from you and from me and prepare us for the secret of you being revealed on this Purim. You have to do the work from below, which means, again, on this Shabbat, so we have at least two thoughts that we want to permeate our consciousness, certainly throughout this day. One, I have no doubt that I am completely filled with the light of the Creator. Completely. That's the reality and that's my experience, at least now. And second, I desperately need the light of the Creator's assistance to remove the veils from this moment onward for the rest of my life. I can't do it alone. I'll do what I can and I'll awaken the desire. Are you satisfied with, or relatively satisfied with the state of your blindness, with your state of not experiencing yourself? To whatever degree you're okay with that and you want a little bit better, this Shabbat, Chas v'Shalom, can't affect, can't awaken, can't create the change that it has the power to. But if you come on this Shabbat and you realize how concealed you are from yourself, manifested so clearly by lack and fear and doubt all the time, and you beg and you say to the Creator, I know that that's not the reality, and I also know that I don't have the strength completely to remove those veils by myself. And therefore I beg the light of the Creator, I will do the work from here. I will awaken my consciousness of the certainty of the power and light that completely permeates me, but I beg the light of the Creator, do the rest. And the light of the Creator promises on this Shabbat, you mention that name, meaning you awaken the desire for those veils to be removed from yourself. And I will remove those veils completely for you and from you. And now we can come to know the secret of the word Zachor. We began by saying that the secret of the Shabbat, it's called the Shabbat of remembrance. What are we remembering? Clearly, we're not remembering a battle that happened thousands of years ago. The secret of remembering, we know that our soul, when it is in the supernal worlds, not confined by the body and the veils of Amalek that makes us not experience ourselves, even know ourselves, in the supernal worlds and even in the womb, we know that we are unlimited. We know that we are completely filled and connected to the light of the Creator. We know that there is no lack and we don't experience doubt and fear. But we come into this world, and this is the world of forgetting. We forget who we are. We forget the power and the light that resides within us. And therefore we live, unfortunately, a life that is not as it should be. This is the one Shabbat of the year. This is the one day of the year that you can remember who you are. Remember and experience and see yourself for truly who you are, as you knew yourself before your soul came into this body, as you knew yourself in the womb. Zachor, remember. The gift of remembering who you are is available on this Shabbat like in no other time of the year. Al tishkach. And if you make the connection on this Shabbat, as we said before, with the desire and the certainty in the light that permeates you completely, then the light of the Creator will make it so that you won't forget who you are the rest of the year. We live most of our lives completely, or at least mostly, forgetting who we are. And to the degree that we make the connection in the Shabbat, you should experience, certainly in the next 48 hours, but hopefully from there on forward, a different knowledge of yourself, a different remembrance of the true you. That is what is available on the Shabbat. And that's why it is the most important Shabbat of the year, and therefore everybody has to connect. Because if not, even a good person, a spiritual person, continues life, but the veils remain strong, no matter what else we do, we'll still not know the secret of ourselves, and our power and our light will never be revealed. The most important Shabbat of the year, but done properly. What are we asking for? Every one of us has to have this consciousness. First, as we said, Hayesh Hashem bekirbeinu imayin. I awaken the certainty. And even if you have to, again, a little bit fake it if you have to, but today, 100 times a day, remind yourself 100 times today. I have no doubt. I have no doubt that I am completely filled with the light of the Creator. And the secret of me is going to be revealed to me today and tomorrow. And I beg the light of the Creator. I don't want to continue living under the veil of Amalek, under the veil that does not allow me neither to see my own reality and strength and power and connection and awakens doubt and fear, nor the inability to see the reality of what is all around me, which is only light. If I can remove the veils. Hatem mazkirim et shmo lemata, the Creator tells us, you do this work on this Shabbat with this consciousness, with this desire. The stronger the desire, the more assistance. And I, the light of the Creator, promises us on this Shabbat, I will do the work to make sure that you remember who you are and you don't forget, not today, not tomorrow, B'ezrat Hashem, not at least for the next 12 months. If we are able to know ourselves in truth, the secret of ourselves, which is, as we said, the purpose of this Shabbat and Purim, and have the assistance of the light of the Creator not to forget, but to live and the experience reality of the total light that I and you and each one of us is, then of course all we have is light and blessings and goodness. And as we said, there is no other Shabbat of the year that this gift and assistance is available, but it begins with us and our consciousness. B'ezrat Hashem, we should have the zchut, the merit, to awaken this consciousness, to know this completely, as I said, at least in the next 48 hours, and then be blessed. Zachor ve'al tishkach, that we will remember always, always, and experience really, completely who we are, not just today and tomorrow, but for the rest of our lives. B'ezrat Hashem. Shabbat Shalom.